Kia ora and good morning. It's great to be here. And I'd like to start by acknowledging the very special, enormous amounts of talent and commitment in this room. And I'm really pleased to be here to share this day with you. I'd like to thank Mark for his conclusion. What did he say? Christchurch is a city of tough challenges, but of great opportunities. And I couldn't agree more. Well, we're 4 years on, and despite the dire predictions, despite all our fears, we're still here. We didn't all run away. Our businesses didn't all dissolve in front of our eyes, and our city can and will be rebuilt. It's been a tough time for us in Christchurch, but we've braved our way through, and there's really good things on the future, on the horizon. 4 years on, sometimes I think we forget how far we've come. Sometimes it seems like a really long time, and if we try to remember back to those days in the immediate aftermath of the earthquake, it's a bit of a struggle. For me, it all seems to be a bit of a blur. And some of those days were of absolute disbelief, and they seemed to really merge into one. Yet on the other hand, 4 years is actually a very short time, particularly given the magnitude of the disaster that we have been struck by. And if I drive around the city now and I look at what we've already achieved, I'm so proud to be a Cantabrian. But also, despite our natural tendency to think of the rebuild in terms of buildings, of course it's an enormous building task, it's actually all about the people and rebuilding our communities and our well-being. And that's why I'm always amazed when someone, like the know-it-all taxi driver in Auckland when I arrive, tells me, "Have you fixed it yet?" I can tell you that he was a know-it-all in intimate detail about what we're doing in Christchurch by the time we got to the city. I know that those days after the earthquake were probably a blur for most people, just like me. But how could anyone forget the number of aftershocks we had in 2011? How could they forget we saw them all on the graph? How can we forget the fact that we became experts in guessing the magnitude, 4.8, 5.2, and then we'd rush off to the GeoNet website. There were days during that time that I really wondered if the GNS assurances that it would end would ever come to pass. And it's that ongoing reminder of nature's strength, that constant reminder that for the first year we took it pretty slowly. And that's why it wasn't until the middle of 2012 that we could really finally see what was there after the dust had settled and make firm plans for our significant Christchurch rebuild. And I think it was the Share an Idea Expo that really got us inspired, really got us thinking creatively and looking to the future. I loved it, and so did the thousands of people who went there. And it was those ideas, those thousands of ideas, that were finally translated into the blueprint for the CBD. And that blueprint was designed to be a framework for our rebuild, not the be-all and the end-all, but a way to, first of all, show some leadership and to help the private sector make its own firm plans about the new look of our city. And now, just 2.5 years later, the work of the frame has really done its job, and the amount of building in the CBD is absolutely phenomenal. I live within the 4 avenues, and it seems like every time I turn around, there's something new and exciting to see. Just the bus exchange, the exciting bus exchange. It's nearly complete and it will open this month. And that's a wonderful development because it's so much more than just a building. The bus exchange signals a new way of how our people will get round the city, a new way of how public transport will be delivered in our town. And it's intimately connected to the accessible city plan. And that will deliver a compact, safer centre roading system and better public transport. And it's all about accessibility. Accessibility for everyone, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, whether you're able or maybe not so able, everybody has been accounted for in this plan. And we've got a vision of making this city, this very flat city, because it gives us an advantage, this flat city, the most accessible city in New Zealand. And that's really important. It's important for the people who live here. It's important for the accessible tourists we can bring here. And it's important for all of us in this room. And I guarantee you'll be able to navigate the centre city easily and well, whether you're on a Zimmer frame or in a wheelchair. Now, right next door to the bus exchange is the enormous Justice and Emergency Service Precinct. And that's a multifunctional precinct, and it's come out of the ground really quickly in the last 6 months and really is an enormous towering presence in the south end of the city. And that's all about people too. It's all about a new collaborative way of working, a collaborative way of working across multiple agencies. And that's an ideal that I don't believe was possible when we had the old pre-earthquake patch protection days. We can do something different because our environment has changed. And just a block away, behind the wonderful Container Mall, and that Container Mall has become a worldwide symbol of Christchurch. People all know about the colour of our city and the innovation of our city because of that mall. So behind that Container Mall, the retail precinct is really beginning to develop and move. It was just a few weeks ago that I realised that the Colombo Street end of Nick Hunt's BNZ Centre development had windows and walls. And at the other end of that precinct, we have Anthony Goff's Terraces development. And I visited that just last week. And that is a most wonderful, quirky mixture of styles, mixture of exciting public spaces, and the best of new high-tech operations. And best of all, it still faces the west and gets the evening sunshine, and we're going to enjoy that when it's finished. The recent announcement of the crossing development, that's at the other end, past Colombo Street, that's going to be another exciting step forward, and it's only going to be 2 years before that is complete, and again, we're going to be able to sit in the bar in the centre of that place, have a glass of wine, and after we've shopped, we've dropped to the glamorous shopping experiences that are going to come our way. If you remember, there were also dire predictions that thoughtless developers would throw up cheap and nasty buildings. But that hasn't been the case. And the redevelopment has been led by the established, long-term, local property owners in our city. City of great opportunities. And that's what I challenge you and everyone who's involved in the rebuild today, to push the boundaries as we reimagine, we reshape, we recreate this city to be a city of opportunity for everyone. Thank you.